All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. Welcome each and everyone, wherever you're coming from. If you're coming from Africa, whichever continent you're coming from, welcome to another episode of Sport Business Uncut. And here with me this evening is none other than Dwayne EXTOL. Of course, Dwayne was supposed to be here and July 20th, but of course, things happen and he wasn't able to be here. But I'm thankful that he is here with us tonight. Dwayne Extol, welcome to HP Chat Track.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Thank you especially for being so patient with me not being here last time. As I said, things came up, things happened, but I couldn't allow for the time to run off and not come on the program because I think you've been doing a wonderful job with the interviews you've done, and it's been very insightful. So I hope I can add even just a little bit to what you've done so far.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And your story will definitely do that. Dwayne, tell me a little bit about Dwayne Extol as a little boy before you got into high school, which parish you're from, and just a little bit about your baby life.
Well, I'm from Manchester. I'm a Manchester boy. I grew up. I spent some time in South Manchester, like Cross Keys, Prattville, around that area. Before I came to Kingston, I was an active child, but I was active and adventurous. So active, adventurous, but mischievous as well. I got in a lot of trouble as a little child. I used to, when my cousins tell me about stories about me jumping off into the well that is close to me, yeah, because they dared me to do it at 6 years old. Almost drunk. And my mom got upset because they dared me to do things because as a child, it was hard for me to not do things. If you said I can't do something, then I'm gonna try and do it. But I grew up. I love the rural side of Jamaica. I love going back to the country whenever I get the chance because that's where I feel most at peace. I feel most relaxed. I feel most creative. I feel free. And I think even as a child, as an adult now, I've carried over some stuff that made me feel alive as a child. So like being in nature, spending time with animals because I love animals, especially dogs. I'm not a fan of cats. I don't really like cats, but I love dogs. I love goats. I love being out in nature because it kind of grounds me and it keeps me, you know, who I am.
Let's talk a little bit about your primary or prep school days. When were you inspired to take up sport, especially track and field?
The inspiration for track and field. I mean, I played a lot of sports. I did basketball. In primary school, I did cricket. I did football, and I ran track. But the reason why I ran track in primary school was my dad used to compete. My dad used to run. I mean, not professional or anything, but I used to come to basic school sports day and it always win. Like I saw my father win sports day every single year. Like he would come. I think one year, I think my last year in basic school, he had finished second. So I always saw my father as a competitive person. So seeing him do sports made me want to do sports. When I got to primary school, went to St. Francis Primary School, by the way, and there I did football, cricket, track. What track for me was I saw it as an avenue to get a scholarship to go to high school to help alleviate some of the cost of my mom because as most people know, my dad passed away when I was young. I think I was about 9 years old, going on 10.
I'm
My dad
sorry to
passed
hear
away.
that.
And I hear people say they're sorry to hear it, and I accept it. But I think for me, no, because it's been 21 years, 22 years, going on 22 years since he's passed, and I've learned so much from his passing and growing up to be who I am. So I wanted to do track and field because I remember there's a guy at my primary school, Eston Edge. I'll never forget his name. I think he had a scholarship to go to George to
You
run.
have a very good memory.
I remember a lot of things. Sometimes I want to say I'm a reservoir of useless information because of all the things I remember. But I remember Eston Edge, and he was the fastest boy in primary school at the time, and he left St. Francis to St. George's, and I think he had gotten a scholarship for track. And I was like, I'd love to get a scholarship to go to high school and run. And so I competed for St. Francis. I went to primary champs. I made so one year, I think my last year, I made a 100-meter final, the 200 and 400-meter final. I finished seventh, seventh and eighth in the three finals. So I didn't think I was ever gonna be approached for a scholarship or anything because I wasn't any good, to be honest.
Were you?
I was actually. I was approached for a scholarship by St. George's, but I had so I was excited about going to St. George's. It was before GSAT, before I took my GSAT exams. Um, so I was excited because the coach I'm judged at the time, Mr. John, not John, I don't remember who was the coach. Even instances like that. But the coach approached me and he said, I'd love for you to come to George's. And I'm like, yeah, but this was before GSAT. So I always wanted to go to
So
Wolmer's.
Dwayne, just to cut you a little bit,
Yeah.
you're from the GSAT era,
Yeah, man, GSAT. Right, right.
not common entrance.
No, man, I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and, I was well after common entrance, and so I think I'm right in the middle of common entrance and pep in a sense. You can look at it that way. So I think 10 years after common entrance and 10 years before pep, so or a little more than that. Anyways, so
Hmm.
I always wanted to go to Wolmer's though, because Wolmer's for some strange reason, because St. Francis Primary School was in Crossroads area. I'd always have to walk the crossroads to get a bus to go downtown to go home. And I always say these khaki clad young men with the maroon and gold epaulette. And I say, yo, that is where I want to go to school. But more so because I thought it was a co-ed school. I thought the girls' school and the boys' school was one school. So I was like, all right.
You got
Because,
tricked.
no, man. And I can tell you the story about how I felt about getting tricked. But that's what my mind was with sports at a very young age. But though I liked George's as a school, I didn't think it was where I wanted to go because Wolmer's in all my journaling as a child, I put Wolmer's boys. My mom even shared my journals with me the other day, grades 4, 5, and 6. I mean, it's interesting to read the things you wrote as a child. Not a senseless stuff, no, but then it made sense to me.
Hmm.
And just I'd always write Wolmer's boys school at the bottom of the page. And my dad, before he passed, always wanted me to go to Wolmer's. So I did GSAT, and I remember the day I heard that I passed for Wolmer's, and I told the coach at George, I said, hey, I'm gonna go to Wolmer's. And he said, boy, Wolmer's shot team hard to make, And I said, well, the time I just go there and try and make it, then But I think it's a scholarship to go to Wolmer's. I um went there. My mom had to pay for school and everything up until about third form. But I didn't get a scholarship to go there. But I want to go to Wolmer's because that school, there was a young man, Matthew Palmer. Uh, Matthew was who I saw in 2002 at the World Junior Championship at the stadium. And he was running the hurdles. And that's why I wanted to run the hurdles to like Matthew Palmer. And when I found out he went to Wolmer's, I'm like, yo, I have to go to Wolmer's. So that was kind of like my journey from basic school, primary school, into high school with sports. And from that point, I think I just enjoyed every aspect of doing sports that I could.
At what class did Wolmer's discover you as a star boy, if I can call you that?
They discovered me as you put that star boy my last year of high school.
You're
So
kidding.
I kid you not. I mean, okay, I think I'm putting it mildly. I wasn't one of the better athletes my first, second, or even my third year. I think I was second or third best, or third or fourth best in whatever event I tried. So I went to Wolmer because I thought I could have done like the sprints because everybody wants to be a sprinter. And then one day, Coach Harley, my hurdles coach at the time, saw me and said, "Come try run the hurdles." I was tiny, well, relatively tiny, but I didn't think I could do all over the hurdles. But it was the only way to get on the team. So everybody was running the 100, 200, 400. So, I tried the hurdles. Never worked out my first year. I didn't make the team. I trained all the way up until February. And then they had a run off, and the boys from football came over, and everyone left me. Everybody run left me. It was so heartbreaking. Like every time I think about it, it's so funny. One of the most heartbreaking things I've gone through. So they all came over, and I remember the race was Stadium East, and I had on this big black shorts and a blue and white shirt, and the breeze just catch me because I was so tiny, and all of the boys were big. Them have at first of them have muscle. Them have you know because of them come from prep school, and I think the prep school kids them lift weights from early, so them come and everyone left me and they met the team, and I was so heartbroken. I said, yo, man, I go back at this. So that's how I took up basketball.
Okay.
So basketball was the sport I played. I played basketball first to lower six. I didn't play in upper six because that was decided for a while that the plan was to win champs in my last year. So basketball was really the sport that I enjoyed at Wolmer, and I played for the longest because Coach Harvey gave me a chance. I didn't have any basketball skills. Like I was just smart. I was smart. I knew how to make a layup. And all my points would come from layups. Never 3 pointers. Never. Just always layups. So I'd be faster than everyone on the court, and then just throw the ball, me catch it later.
Champs 2020, 2010. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know, I've been asking the question for years. How did Wolmer's pull off Champs 2010? You did three individual events and you medal in all three events: gold, silver, silver. Tell me about Champs 2010. What
Champs,
was the game plan going into Champs 2010?
I know, funny enough, the game plan for Champs 2010 actually started in 2008. And I think a lot of people don't understand how important it is to plan for success. And one was at the time with our principal Dave Murray, though he wasn't the principal when we won. He and Bruce James and MVP people who were responsible for us, David Riley, our coach, and even Bert Cameron at the time, they set plans in motion from actually 2005 for us to win at the end of 5 years. And I was integral in that plan because they believed I had, the requisite talent and leadership skills to help the team, be successful. So people see 2010 and think of it as like, oh, they just get up and win overnight. It actually wasn't. And I think that is how I kind of live my life and mirror my life in terms of planning for success. That year, I almost wasn't at Wolmer's for 2009 and 10. I almost left for JC in fifth form. I was a young man who felt like each time I came up against any adversity, I'd just run away from it. Even my dad passed away, that was my response to everything, just run away from it, because if the further I go away from it, the easier it is for me to deal with it. So I had some conflicts at Wolmer's with one of my vice principals at the time, teachers, and even my coaches. We were having clashes of personality, and I almost left for JC in 2008. But Mr. Riley, at the time, he was and still is a great mentor to me. Sat me down and said, "Well, this is our plan. This is if you stay at Wolmer's, I won't guarantee you that you will win champs, but we will come very close." And that was all I really needed. He spoke to me about legacy building and building my legacy and what legacy you will leave behind. So sometimes you run away from things and you are just on the cusp of doing something great that you never realize it until, you will never ever realize because you run away from it. And Riley was, very adamant that, just stay with us 2 more years and we'll get it done. And a lot of work went into 2010. Even the before that, 2009, we had finished fourth at champs, and coaches like we'll do better next year because we have all the tools. At the time we had Julian Ford, young Jail Hyde, who was in, I think Jail kept come in first form that year in the 400. Jordan James, we had a lot of firepower, but it wasn't
Odin Skeen was
that.
also a part of that.
Yeah, Ramon Bailey, come on, pull up. It wasn't a star-studded team per se because we didn't believe in having stars. Everyone had equal responsibilities on our team. So David Riley, Bert Cameron, Christopher Harley, um, all those coaches, and even the management team at the time, we had, I think, the best management team ever in the history of Boys Champ because they were the main part of why we were successful. So when we got to the 2009 season and we finished fourth, we sat down in a meeting and coach said, well, finished fourth by a couple points behind. I think Calabar had won that year.
2009,
No,
Calabar actually was defeated by
yeah,
KST
KC won.
by
Yeah,
1.5
correct.
points,
Yeah,
which
Uh,
was a
yeah,
big blow to many of us.
yeah, yeah. I mean, to many people, I think O'Shea Bailey should have gotten up and walked
Yeah,
across.
that
But
was the same thing I was saying. I was sitting in the stadium and I said to the team manager, go and tell him to get up and walk to the finish line because come Saturday evening, that 1 point might just be important. And
yeah,
I literally went home with a headache, but let us go back to your story.
was it? Yeah, because Calabar they had lost the lost the champs lost champs on the 4x4
Mm-hmm.
2009. Then they
Yeah.
lost again 2010, and
Yeah.
it's one of those lessons. But for me, I take even in hindsight, I take lessons from all the things that I competed in. So even that year when O'Shane didn't finish the race, we took our lesson from that. Um, when we went into the 2010 season, so the mindset was we finish everything.
Finish. Yes.
Even in training, we finish everything. You have 6 reps or something, we finish everything. We finish. And that was a thought process for Coach Riley and team. The journey to greatness, it's a journey. So you'll have missteps, but just finish. Whatever you do, finish. And I think that helped us. Other people's misfortune helped us prepare for success the next year. And we really sat down as a team and we decided that this is what we want. The boys, even though we were few in numbers, the belief was there. The belief was there from the end of 2009 going into 2010. And then we started seeing, moments and instances where people were saying, this team could do it. And we didn't really listen to that because we were grounded. We were so grounded in what we believed through our coaches, through our management team, or through even our administration at the time. Fantastic teachers who were phenomenal, who helped us, those of us who were preparing for exams, they helped us to stay on top of our examination preparation. Mr. McKnight, who recently passed, was one of those stalwarts in helping us to prepare. So a lot of things, it's not just going on the track and competing, it's the preparation outside of that that prepared us for that great moment, March 27, 2010. And it was a scary thought, but when we were building up to it, coach emphasized the mental toughness, the visualization, everything. And I think people see athletes and think it happens on the track only, and it doesn't. And I think young athletes even have that misconception now, because what you do off the track, 90% will really do a lot more than 10% that you do on the track. So that year, it was people said, they were overworking me, doing too much events, but it's a matter of preparation because I think I did more work in my preseason and background work than I did at champs, because I ran 3 rounds of the 400, 2 rounds of the 400 hurdles, 3 rounds of the 200,
Mm-hmm.
and one 4x4. Even though it's a couple of days, but the preparation, the rehydration, everything, we factored all those things in.
Champs 2010 was a big deal because Boys Champs was celebrating 100 years. And so there was a big hype around it, the buzz, everything. As I said, I was there. And it's like I was almost in because everybody was saying to me, HP, she said, Wolmer's going to win Boys Champs. And I was like, it looks so, But I mean, the energy you guys kept us on our feet because we were looking for the Calabar KC clash to come back because of how close they finished the year before, which was just 1.5 points between them. But how did you guys feel when you realized that you were close to the Mortimer Geddes trophy?
And that was from Thursday night. I think we realized that we were going to win champs.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, "Oh, you must know from Thursday." And Coach Riley, he's an excellent man with numbers. He
Yeah.
wrote two. I think the week before we went to champs, he wrote out the number 208. I said, "That's what we're gonna score at champs." And he said, "If anybody wants to beat us, they have to score higher than 208." And in our minds, that's all we had thinking about, 208. If we can get to 208, then whatever happens, we'll take it. Because the goal wasn't to quote unquote win champs, it was to get to 208. And in his mind, if we got to 208, we wouldn't have been beaten. So we worked towards that 208. And I think Thursday, when we realized we had some mishaps, we didn't qualify for the class one 4x1, which I think we were favored to win. We
What
didn't.
happened there? What happened there?
We had so the guys who went over, I wasn't a part of the team. The guys who went over, because I'd done that day, I think the qualifier, so it was Friday
You would
or
have been resting for the final
it
because of
was. So that heat was run on the Thursday, because champs for us was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that heat was run on the Thursday. I would have just run on that day the 200-meter first row, no, 400 meters first round that morning, and the next day I would have had the 400-meter semi-final. So coach rested me, and the guys went out. I think they had dropped the baton on the first exchange. I want to say, I think it was. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Kamal Full and Julian Ford who messed up the exchange, and they dropped the baton, and we were disqualified. So we didn't make the 100 meter, 4x100 meter final. So people were saying, "Oh, Wolmer's them lose them chance because we fell out in this 4x1." But other teams,
And that would make sense because normally if you don't, if a school doesn't, a school vying for champs, if you don't have any points in the class one boys four
four
by
by
one, it's like everything is lost.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think what people are looking at, and again, people look at sports at face value, what they can see. But we had people in field events that people don't see. So
Yeah.
we had
Mm-hmm.
Dimitri competed in the pole vault, and I think he got like 2 points for us. And those 2 points would have made up for the points we would have lost in the relay. We had the boys in the class three,
But
100.
when you look at 12 points in a relay, let's say eight the worst you guys could have done,
Yeah,
third. You
yeah.
know, when you look at that 8 points and it's not a part of your tally, how were you guys able to keep it together and stay focused on the job that is still
Oh,
at hand?
it's always psychological. I think we played a mental game with the other schools, especially in the boys' class one sprints, like Julian and myself and Ashani. I think we played a mental game with everybody, and then Kamal full of the sprint hurdles, all those guys. I think everyone we went out with game faces. So even though we got disqualified from 4x1, there was no despair, there's no infighting, there's no cussing. We went to the stadium each day, did what we needed to do. So after the baton fell the Thursday night, Friday we went out business as usual for everything, every event. And I think that mentally played it played a mental game with those who were competing against. Because we show up at the stadium, because our tent was fully AC, we had TV in our tent, we had
What?
yeah man. So we was
Big
at the time
life.
big life. So we'd come out, and regardless of what was happening, we were still joking, we were still happy. And I think we dealt some serious mental blows to everybody else because we never, even though we were flustered, and even though I remember, I think I finished third Friday in my semi-final 400 meters, and I still hadn't run the 400 hurdles final yet. And people say, "Yeah, man, I'm done for champs." At no point did I ever feel flustered. Did I ever feel like I wasn't going to do well? So did my teammates. We all believed in each other, and the mental side of things was where I think we survived.
Was that a strategy to manage your rounds because of the workload that you had?
Yeah. So the conversation with myself and Mr. Riley before champs. So it was the summer 2009. My own personal goal I had to put aside because I wanted to run the 400-meter hurdles because I wanted to break the national junior record at the time was 50.24 by Joseph Robertson, and I wanted that. Going out in my last year, I wanted that, and Coach Riley said no. I'm like, Coach, what do you mean no? I'm saying no. You can. That record will always be broken. It's always a possibility for the record to be broken. I know that record sits at 49 whatever. So had I just gone from my personal goal to break national junior record, I would have probably gotten it had I focused on it. But then the legacy that I would have had would never exist if I chased just that. And he
Hmm.
said you have to run the 200 at champs. And as a coach, I really want to do so much work, But him say, we'll prepare you. You'll be fine. And I trusted that. And I trusted that, that part of my legacy will speak for itself.
Indeed, indeed. Champs 2010 will always be on a lot of people's at the front of a lot of track and field people memory. I for one will never forget champs 2010. I even have my Calabar tie because I'm a Calabar supporter, so
Okay.
I have my champs tie that says champs 100. So
Oh,
it
man.
was a big deal, and Wolmer's in the champs record book. You guys have won two. You've won champs 100, which was one of the biggest champs ever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we did because even though, as you said, the history and legacy behind that remains, I'm glad we won it because I have friends who tell me, you don't remember who won champs 93 or champs 97 or champs 52. But people remember because
2010.
we had one in 1910, which was the first
Mm-hmm.
staging, and then the
Yes.
competition win in 2010. And it's just the significance behind it. I have friends who who competed for Calabar, competed for KC, even to this day, they still say, they should have won because of the significance of the moment.
Yeah.
And there are people who make comments, "Oh, almost will never win again for another 100 years." And even though sometimes those statements, they've kind of hurt, they've kind of
They're
sting
a
a
little
little bit.
brutal. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're a
yeah.
little brutal. Yeah.
But I'll always remind them that we win when it matters most. We
Mm-hmm.
win when people
Mm-hmm.
will talk
Mm-hmm.
about it forever. And it's a great feeling to have been a part of history that, when you leave your legacy behind, people say, I remember when so and so and they did this or they did that. So it was a significant year for us. I think for the sport and for Wolmer's legacy,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that will be in our history books as a great accomplishment.
Just to go back to your dad a little bit, he was a part of your inspiration. How were you able to motor through all of this and knowing that he is not there in that picture with you? How were you able to stay driven, stay focused, and just keep your eyes on the prize without him not being there?
My mother, my mother for the longest while, um, she was that driving force behind my motivation. And I'm not the one to say, oh, my mother was my father kind of thing. No, she was my mother. That's what she did until she couldn't manage to guide me any further. She did as much as she could, as best as she could with what she had. And she was and still remains an inspirational figure to me. And when she realized that she was out of her depth when I got to like third form and almost got kicked out of Wolmer's, um, she realized she was out of her depth. She reached out to other people. She reached out to my coaches, um, people from church for help. And I think that's one of the things I've taken from my mother. Know that if I can't do something, there's someone else who's able and capable. So I reach out to them. And she reached out to other people, reached out to Mr. Riley, reached out to Mr. Scott, who was a mentor for me, Maurice Wilson as well. She reached out to these people and said, he needs help. And people kind of took me under their wings and they kind of guided me. So she, even though she wasn't there all the time, she set the foundation to have good people around me to make good choices. And I mean, I've made bad choices, and it's kind of natural for young men to make bad choices. But I wasn't allowed to wallow in those bad choices. I wasn't allowed to stay in those bad choices. And some of those bad choices did affect me later on in life, but they were good lessons for me to learn to teach the boys that I have to deal with, about the importance of making the right decision when you're young, because you don't know how that will affect you 10 years from now.
Do you think you were acting out because your dad was taken away from you so early?
I wouldn't say acting out. I just felt a lot of despair. I felt lost in a sense because your father is for me, at least I can speak. It's my greatest inspiration. He's the hero I see first. He's the person I never idolized like people on TV, like sports people, because I don't know them. I know my dad. I know my mom. I see how hard they work to get things done for us, for myself and my two sisters. I see how much work they put in. So they were my heroes. My dad, especially, because he had to work like two jobs, two security jobs. So I remember him coming home late. And even though he came home late, in the days, he'd make sure that before he leaves in the evening, we had dinner before mom came home. And he'd come home early in the morning to try and prepare breakfast for us if mom couldn't do it. So that was the hero I had, and not having him around, even though kind of feels, a little away because I've accomplished all that I've set out to accomplish, and not to have him there to kind of celebrate. But I have people who are celebrating with me. I mentioned Mr. Ryan, Mr. Scott, Maurice Wilson, all of those people, they celebrate with me. Ricky Martin, Dwight Solf. I think about all these people who've just been pivotal in my development as a young man, and even though as a young adult, they have really made me realize that even though my dad isn't physically around, his spirit lives on through them, and I will say a big shout out to Mr. Smith, Philando Smith as well. Same shares the same birthday as my dad, which is so funny because he's just like my father in every single way. So I had great mentors around me.
It's funny that you mentioned that. How important is mentorship for our young men? based on what you've gone through, your experience in sport, a young man, how important is this for our young men, even our young women?
I was about to say it is important for both genders, and I think what other people are missing, and it's as a youngster being mentored, you have to be open. And I think at one point I wasn't open to the thought of mentorship because I just think I know everything already, and I really want to hear much on nobody else. And the the process of mentorship is vital because mentorship isn't somebody telling you what to do. Mentorship for me is somebody guiding you based on their own experiences that you don't make the same mistakes they've made. Because all the names I've mentioned, they've spoken to me about the mistakes they've made, the wrong roads that they've gone down. And as best as I can, I haven't gone down any of those wrong roads, but I've made bad decisions on my own. But the bad decisions I've made aren't the mistakes that they made. These are the mistakes that I've made, so I can tell youngsters. So it is important for young people to have mentors even outside of sports, like in everyday life. It's important to have mentors because they bring something that you don't have, not yet.
How
Because
did how did sport help you to become, because you sound to be very disciplined to me somewhat now. How did sport help you in that area of your life?
I had to be what sport did is that I realized I couldn't accomplish anything without being disciplined. Wolmer's track and field basketball, I couldn't accomplish anything without discipline. As good as I thought I was, coach always told me that there's somebody out there that is better. And if you don't work hard enough to be better than yourself 2 times over, someone will always beat you. So the discipline that was instilled there, it made sense to me. Even later on in life, like no, discipline is a big part of my um whole demeanor as a person, my whole personality. May not be all the time because sometimes I slack off because I'm a human being, but discipline is key. And I think if youngsters reach out and get mentors, they have to learn to be disciplined and to understand what they bring to the table. That's their mentors, what they bring to the table, and that's not always they're trying to live your life for you. Even though you have some mentors who try and do that, but you have some who really put your best interest first.
Academics and sport go hand in hand, as you mentioned earlier. What was your strategy to balance both in order to get to where you wanted to go?
There was no strategy. It was my mom's way or the highway. It's either I get over 85% average or I don't compete in sports at all. So my mom was a little hard and fast about it, but she was good at trading off. So she would always said, if you want to go to this particular meet or you want to go to champs, these are the grades that I require, and I'd always have to get the grades. So her thing was like, if like even with church, my mother would say, if you want to go out Saturday, you have to go to church Sunday. So if I didn't want to go to church Sunday, I couldn't go Saturday. So she always gave me the options to negotiate what I want.
She had a very good strategy.
Oh, yeah, it worked every time because I couldn't go to champs. I couldn't go compete at Carifta if I didn't bring the grades that she wanted. It's similar to me going to university and getting my degree. She said, all right, the only thing I want from you now, after I graduated high school, she said, only thing I want from you now, from now the next 4 years is a university degree. She don't want nothing else. I said, that's awesome. Said, yeah, man, you can do anything else you want after that. So when I got the degree, get it, look at it, put it in a mail, sent it to her. So that was how I managed. But Wolmer's was a school where our standards were high. Our standards were high and still
I
remain
know. Yeah.
high. And I think sometimes unreasonably high because young men are still learning to navigate a lot of things. It's not just the academics; they're learning to navigate their own lives, their development as young men, puberty, peer pressure. There's so many factors going on. And I'm not saying standards should be lowered, but I think consideration must be given to all aspects of the holistic development of a young person because some people may just be better in sports than they are in academics, or they may be better in the arts than they are academics. It's for the schools to help and the administration to help find out. And I think we don't have much of that anymore. Administrators care genuinely about the development of the youth because They just put them in classrooms, expect them to succeed, and then take all the glory. And they don't look at their holistic development in terms of their mental well-being, emotional well-being, and even for some spiritual well-being. And I think that is what's missing now in terms of the overall development of our young people.
I'm so happy that you did a nice little segue when you mentioned mental health. Mental health has now become a big part of the conversation in sport. How important was that for you, or what was your strategy to stay grounded? Even when you were expected to win and you did not, you mentioned your mom and all your mentors, but you, Dwayne, how did you really get it in your head that, okay, I need to pull it together and not wallow in self pity?
Life isn't always about winning, it's about the lessons you learn from all the things that you do. So I think from that point of view, I drew solace from when I competed. I didn't always win, and in life you won't always win, but you will always go through moments where you can learn lessons from each and every single moment that you've either competed in or you've partaken or you partake in. So I don't put pressure on myself. I never put pressure on myself, even when others are saying, "Oh, you should be this, you should be that." I didn't do it for anybody's approval. At the end of the day, for some time I did because everybody's expecting you. Like after champs was done, everybody's expecting you to do great things, and you're supposed to go on to the World Championship or the Olympics and run fast. And but life isn't a straight road. Life has
True.
never been and will never ever be a straight road. And anyone who tells you that life is a straight road is lying because they have probably cheated their way to get there. Because life is never straight. Nothing in life, even when you're on the road driving, no, you don't drive a straight road to get to your destination. You have to divert somewhere. You have to turn off. There's gonna be traffic blocks, roadblocks. They're gonna be broken stoplights. They're gonna be potholes in the road. Nothing in life when you journey is going to be straight. And when I thought about life like that, I said to myself after like my first year or first 2 years of university, I realized that I may not make it to the next level. I mean, I still tried, and nothing beats trying than to just learn. So it's all about the lessons that I learned. It's never about just winning, winning, winning. Because if you win all the time, how do you know to appreciate the success if all you know is winning? Because if all you see is daytime, how will you ever appreciate what is night? Because you need opposites to make comparison. You need to feel sadness to know what happiness is. You need to feel cold to know what the heat is like. These
Indeed.
things complement each other. So it may look like it's a bad thing, but when you put it into context, these things make sense.
Indeed, indeed. You know something, Dwayne, you're very good at this. It's like you know where I am going next. You're a step. It seems as if you've done this like every day because now you just segue into university. You transitioning from high school to university, University of Texas or Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, right? Tell me about that. Yeah, I know you Texas people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've had athletes from University of Texas race me up already. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But let us talk a little bit about your transition from high
Mhm.
school in one country to university in another country. What was that transition like?
Yeah, I will pardon you this time because the Texas University of Texas Tech rivalry is big. So
Is so many of them. You have Texas A&M, you have Texas Tech, you have University of Texas Austin. Look here, I can't keep up. So I will apologize anytime I make the mistake. Sandy Richards draw me up already when I said the same thing. But I
yeah,
understand it's clean rivalry and stuff. But
yeah,
just tell me a
absolutely.
little bit about your transition.
The transition was because I actually went to University of Alabama first, my first 2 years, because that's where Coach Harvey Glantz, who has recently passed, was the head coach at the time. He was very convincing in getting me to Alabama at the time when I was leaving high school. I went into an environment where it was family oriented and it was pretty good. My roommates at the time, Jonathan Reed, Kamal Fuller, Kirani James, Bobby Onyuku. I remember all these guys because that was my family. You know, we became a family. We competed together. We went everywhere together. So the transition from high school wasn't as difficult, even though there are a lot of things that it just caught my eye. Like, you know, you're in a new country, in a new environment. I don't have my mother behind me to say, oh, this needs to be done. My first like 2 weeks of school, age three when I go to class because I get up, man, there's no training.
I hope your mommy heard what you just
No,
said.
she know all of this one because it showed in my grades. She know all of
Oh,
this.
okay,
So
okay.
when my first 2 weeks of school, there was no training for anything, but school started and when I gonna I mean I went to classes because orientation and first day. But when I really made that effort, I still watch TV, eat cereal, me, me admire girls on the campus and me just everywhere, me there everywhere. When I
Was
was
that
on
because of homesick or
No, I was homesick, because I had one of my teammates from high school with me, Kamal Fuller, who was my captain at the time. He came to Alabama as well, so I wasn't homesick, but I was in a new place. So when you put a
the
kid in a candy,
newness?
ah, with a kid in a candy store, what's gonna happen? They're gonna run around and look and touch and feel and try everything because it's so new. And I think I was still not mature enough. I wasn't mature enough, and I think that kind of played a role in some of the things that went wrong for me because maturity is a big thing for youngsters going to university. If you don't have that kind of support system and the newness of everything kind of just caught me off guard. I'm saying, and but then when it started to catch up to me in terms of my whole overall fitness and then my grades and things started to go down, I said, no, one, I come to America for a purpose, get a scholarship, I come to work and get out of here. So I kind of settled down after a couple months, and it's natural for people to just lose their way over time. But I settled down and things got better. But the transition was not easy, and it's something I tell people all the time that the expectation of our youngsters who leave here and go overseas that they should just automatically, hit the ground running. When you're running as fast as we are, sometimes you hit the ground and you overstride and you fall. Or sometimes the ground is moving so fast as you touch it, boom, it shoots off. And then there are others who, by the stroke of whatever great fortune, they transition in and they transition in smoothly for sports and even for school. They find a way to and they figure it out early because some of them have great mentors who kind of guide them along the way. So that in itself helps. And for me, I think the transition wasn't as bad as it could have been. But then when I left Alabama and went to Texas, it wasn't as new to me because when I got to Texas, I was like, I know what needs to be done. I have about a year or two here. I know I need to finish these courses to get my degree, and I just focused on that.
Every level of our life is different. What were some of the challenges? Tell me about some of the challenges that you had at that level, the university level, balancing your academics and trying to train, and the responsibility that you have as it relates to the NCAA. Tell me a little bit about that.
I never really, after I left Alabama and I went to Texas, I never really had any issues. The thing that I think most young men struggle with, and I talk to my boys all the time, and I'm open with them about it, is the things that entice you. And by the things that entice you, I mean the lifestyle that is not appropriate for people who are trying to be successful as athletes. So the staying up late at night, the going out to parties all the time because you can party, you can enjoy yourself. The consumption of substances like alcohol that are detrimental to your overall performance, not sleeping properly, not eating properly. So all these things and they will affect or they did affect how my performance was and even other athletes, we did well because we're in a system that, we're going to run well regardless. But after a while, your body starts to deteriorate. And when you're young, you feel invincible as a youngster. You feel like the world is at your feet and you can do whatever you want and still be successful. And it is true. It remains true for a while. Because after a while, time catches up to you. Father time is undefeated. It never fails, never loses, and we think that we have all the time in the world to do what we need to do. So that was one of the things I talked my was about. Don't get caught up in the life, because it's good to enjoy the things that you can while you can, but if you have a goal about, accomplishing X or Y, you have to understand that you need to do A or B to get to that point. And I think for me, my life lessons is something I think the youngsters that I deal with now can take from, and I think it would help them to be more successful than I was.
You had a busy junior career, champs, Carifta, you know, World Youth. Tell me a little bit about, or World Juniors. Tell me a little bit about your junior years international career.
Well, I went to both World Youth and World Juniors. World Youth was 2007 in the Czech Republic at the time, and I'd gone there to run the 40-meter hurdles, and I ended up running the sprint medley. We won Jamaica's first medal ever in the event. People say we should have won gold or whatever, but I know people say, "Oh, it's my fault I didn't win gold because I got the bottle in the lead and people passed me." But I tell you all the time, I rather go there and get a medal than go there and not get a medal. There are so many people who go to championships who work hard for 4 years for the Olympics, or every year, every 2 years for the World Championship, and they go to the games and they finish in fourth. And there's a book that I want to write about that, the person who finishes in fourth.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. It's a book called
Mhm.
Just Off the Podium. Um, it is. I've been trying to write for like 3 years now,
You
and
should. You should.
it speaks about the disappointment that one feels having worked so hard. So when 2007 people say, "Oh, you make a lose the relay," I'm like, we've never won a medal in this event. We set a national youth record at the time, and we have a medal coming home. And people say, "Oh, our goal should have win." It Though we want to always be at the top, sometimes it doesn't work like that because other people train us hard too. They're
Mhm.
just as good. So my youth, my junior years were I got a couple medals, Curved mostly, CSC, Pan Am Games. I was well traveled because of track and field. But the experience at the youth level and junior level, because I think 2010 I'd won a silver medal on the 4x1. I mean, other people don't have medals from their youth and junior years, but I have medals, and I'm proud of them. Like it is, you could have two of them could have been bronze. I don't care. I happen to show my kids and say, "Hey, this is what your
Mhm.
daddy. This is what your daddy won when he was
Yeah.
a."
And
People,
that's your achievement. That's your legacy.
and it stays with me for the rest of my life. And I
Mhm.
think people don't understand that I'm okay with what I do to accomplish. I'm okay with what I accomplish because I know the work that I put in. Though sometimes you'd want to do better because naturally the inclination is for, oh, you want to win, you want to be at the top of the pile. But if I work hard and somebody else beat me to it, all right, then beat me. Maybe one day I'll beat them. But me always glad to when I went to these meets, me have something to show for it. So
Exactly.
yeah, so junior years were fun. I mean, I was a captain of the world junior team in 2010. So it was such a great year for us 2010 because we had gone to Moncton, and I think we finished fourth in the 4x4. And again, I anchored the team and some people passed me and we finished fourth. But I laugh about these things now because
Of
it
course.
it didn't change my life for the worst. I didn't die. I didn't lose my wits. I didn't nothing altered the course of my life because of those things. Because you're a kid, you're a child. Like you will have moments when you will be disappointed, and I take lessons from those moments. So when I have disappointments now as an adult, I know how to handle them because I'm not gonna wallow and say, "Boy, we should get a promotion there," because mm, try again. You know what I mean? Try
I
again because
think sometimes many fans, we tend to, not we, but some people tend to not remember that other teams are training, other countries are training. We are not the only one out there competing. Yeah, we are brilliant at what we do, but you have to remember that there are other countries coming to the same championship. And for the sprints, I mean, most of the events is 8 lanes.
8 lanes, three
Eight
minutes.
lanes.
Eight
It's
lanes,
eight
3 minutes.
lanes. And you're looking at how many countries entering three people, and you get three people in the final.
And they get two on the podium. They get one on
And
the
you get
podium.
two on the podium, and you might not get the gold, and we're upset.
Yeah, because and sometimes I look at the comments during the World Championship and
Oh,
even
geez.
track season, and people say, "Oh, athletes are not running fast because they might buy them time for the World Championship." Other athletes are doing the same thing.
Yes.
We
Mm-hmm.
we should be grateful that for such a small nation we've been able to compete at the highest level with some of the best in the world. And I think what bothers me most is the lack of support that our athletes get
Mm-hmm.
when they don't do well. It is.
You're touching a nerve now. I'm trying not to stray until I get to that part, but go
No,
ahead.
we'll
I
get there.
agree with you.
We'll get
Yeah.
there. So as I said, as a youth and a junior, my career was fun. It was fun. I made so many great friends that even to this day, we remain good friends from all over the world. My favorite people that I've met through track and field have been Jehu Gordon from Trinidad and Kirani James from Grenada, two guys who I still remain great friends with to this day. And I say to people all the time, it is about the people you meet on this journey. Like it don't matter if you become a world class athlete or you become just someone who works in a corporate ent- entity. I encourage parents to let your children play sports. Let them experience life outside of the books and outside of the rigors of academics, because you find people in life with similar interests and it's not just centered around academics.
I've seen so many great friendships being formed in track and field with our athletes and athletes from other countries, relationships being formed. And, I'll say to people when they're competing, they are rivals.
Yep.
But when they're not competing, many of them around the world, they are friends. They're cool with each other. So let's not make a big thing as fans. Let's not try to create a separation between our athletes in Jamaica and athletes in the rest of the countries, because they're cool with each other.
Yeah, man, create a separation in August. So we are competing in August. We go
Hmm.
online and we butter them online. Create separation then. But afterwards, we go back to, being, because at the end of all of the championships, people don't, if people stay, there's an after party and everybody is in the same place. These athletes go to different meets and some of them room together. So they interact in different ways. We as fans, and I say we because myself included, I
Hmm.
get into it online because I like the gimmicks online, but I know where to draw the line in
Hmm.
terms of being respectful or disrespectful, because there's a fine line where you want to be a super fan or you just want to be super annoying,
Yeah.
So yeah.
After your junior career, we have not seen you much. Tell me a little bit about that. Was
But
it a conscious effort?
to be fair to myself and those associated with me, I came home 2015 and I tried, I trained for a couple months and I tried to get back to some semblance of athletic prowess, but it never worked because I had so many things going on. There's no, athletes who tell you all the time they don't have the support, they don't have the funding to do all these things. And what I was doing when I came back home was to use my savings to pay for where I was living and food and get into coaching and get into training and all these things. So many other things were happening. And after that, 2016, 2017, I said, you know what? I'm gonna try something else because my life isn't going to be centered around track and field and competing for the rest of my life. So I learned very, very early as a child when to move on from the things that, you know, won't serve you. So though people say, oh yeah, you failed. Yeah, I didn't get to the Olympics, I didn't get to the World Championship. However, I learned how to utilize another skill set of mine when it came on to the world of sports, especially the world of track and field. And now it has put me to where I can do track and field analysis at champs and the world championship, the Olympic Games. So I'm still involved in sport, but I may not be competing, but I still contribute in a significant way. So I didn't feel as if And people say, "Oh, you never make it." All right, so
Was it difficult for you to walk away from the sport?
because it meant so much to me, because it was more than just a sport. It was more than just competing. It was my place of refuge for a very long time, even as a child. So when I had to give that up, and not sure where, and I wasn't sure where I'd find somewhere else to find comfort, it was hard. So for months, the decision weighed heavily on me, and I said, well, I want to keep trying and keep trying, but I know when to stop. As my mother always tell me, she noticed that from when I was a child, I knew when to stop. Even when I was trying to walk, I knew when to stop trying, and then wait until another day and try again. So I knew when to stop. I knew when I needed to say, what, let's put this down in this way, because I'm still close to track and field in many ways. I've given up competing, but I still find ways and means to be a part of the sport because it's something that I love. So though I may not compete, I still have found ways to make myself at home in the space that I've grown to love.
Looking back at your track career, is there anything you would have done differently?
Oh yeah, whole heap of things, man. Like um, I would have been more mindful of some choices that I've made in terms of my own preparation for sport. Like just being a better athlete. I just wanted to be a regular boy playing. And that's all I wanted. I wanted to go parties when I got to college because I never really did much in high school because of the hovering of my mother and my coaches and blah blah and all those
So
things.
now you broke out.
Oh, for free for don't want. So I think then and I don't think I'd change anything, HP, to be honest. Like I don't I look back at it and say, oh, what would I change? And those are the things that I think about readily. Whenever I really want, like if I was supposed to change those things, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I don't think I want to be anything else than who I am today. Honestly, like I don't think any part of my life would have been better than it is now because that's what I have. That's what I have. That's what I know. That's what I love. That's what I enjoy. I'm after I guess and spend. I said, boy, maybe I should have. Maybe I don't want to do that. So I'm happy with where I am now, though not entirely happy with all the choices I made. I'm content because I learned from those moments. And actually, I'm good. Like I'm good. I've done so much with my life since um, going through all of that. Because when you look back, you can connect all the dots when you look back at things and say, yo, I should have done that, and maybe had I done this. But if my mother's even nose was what you call it, a doorpost where you put the thing. It's always what if, and we don't deal with what if anymore in our lives. We deal with what
Yeah,
we can do.
indeed, indeed. When you were going to walk away from the sport, did you have a plan? What would be
I,
next?
I did actually, and that plan fell flat on its face.
Wow.
That was the first plan I had. Like so while I was competing, I got a job at Grace Kennedy. Shout out to Grace Kennedy family. I worked in their communication department and their marketing team. So I was working while trying to train, and that was in itself difficult. But the plan really was to join the JDF, and I went out, passed the board selection or whatever, and it just never worked out. Like I was told October 18, 2016, that this they didn't give me a reason actually. They didn't say, oh, because I was selected and I was making preparations. I left. I was a TVJ part time, Grace Kennedy full time. And I got a message and I say, oh, you're just not selected. And I said, why? Them said not for them to discuss. And me
Wow.
nearly mad. I'm nearly mad. But I cussed. I'm say, yo, this is madness. And that was the plan I had, to be a part of the Jamaica Defense Force, but that never worked out. I'm say,
You
yo,
weren't given a reason or anything? Nothing?
no, not up to this day. And I really
Oh,
don't. I really didn't try. For a year, I tried to seek out reasons, like, but I realized it would have driven me crazy. Like, it would have mad. I mean, I say, you know what? It pulled me down a road where my depression was debilitating. Like it crippled me. I mean, hate everybody. Me hate everybody. We don't want to talk to nobody. But I said I've shared this so many times. I've had good friends, and I have a really good friend in Ricardo Chambers, who really helped me to get back on track. And then kind of, set things in motion. And then him say, "Oh, we have to work on a plan B." And then plan B was, to do little writing here and there, because the track alerts, shout out to Anthony Foster for accepting my articles. Andre Loa the Cleaner, who kind of helped me with writing as well. So those, I got like $5,000 per article, barely anything. But at the time, I could have, make a little in a much, and I did what I did, and I've been so fortunate. So when I worked on Plan B was to keep on doing the track and field analysis and try and look at job. I applied to so many places, didn't get through. I mean, I thought about 100 applications,
I
100,
know, I know. I've been there. I've been there. I
100.
know.
And so even now, some of the people who, the place I applied to, them see me now, they're like, "Oh, we had seen application." I'm saying, "Yeah," and I appreciate it for passing me up, because had you not passed me up, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Indeed.
So I took all of those things, and I took them personal, because I said, I have to go fight for this thing myself. And Ricardo helped me out, got to Small Jamaica, one thing led to another. And life, I started to approach life differently. I started to approach life without the victim mindset, but the
But
victor.
sorry, with so many things going wrong or going in another direction, how did you where did you find the energy to keep going?
The thought of being alive alone is enough for me, because I've lost friends through suicide. I've lost friends who died very young, and they never got a chance to actualize the goals that they've written on, the goals that we've discussed. They never got the chance. And I said it would be a disservice from me to them to not go out and do my best. So while I have life and I'm capable, I will try. And it doesn't mean that I won't, quote unquote, fail, but I have to try. I have to try for them. I have to try for the youngsters who are watching me, because there are a lot of people who look on and say, "Yo, man." Even the other day, you kind of reminded me of when I used to walk from downtown to Mullines Road, because I was living at Mullines. I'd walk from downtown to Mullines
Walk
Road.
from downtown to
Yeah, man.
Mudlined?
Yeah, man. I was living at
Wow.
Mullines. Because, I mean, sometimes I wouldn't have like bus fare enough to get me from work. So I had enough until payday to get me to work. But there'll be like a Friday or Thursday, just walk from downtown, and I'm back, and he reminded me I was at the barber shop, and he come in and say, remember, we used to see her walk all the time, and things like that. And I said, I look back at moments like those, and I say, I don't give up. When I give up on nothing at this life, that I don't give up on myself. If I stop doing something, it's because I want to stop doing it.
You have your story is I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills from your story, because the thing is that, and this is why I will tell track and field fans that we're not supposed to judge the athletes. We're not supposed to trash them. We're not supposed to be harsh, because they are trying to navigate life just like ordinary people. They are going through stuff, and many times we judge them harshly and we don't know what is happening behind the scene.
Yeah, and you know
No,
what? Go ahead.
no, no, now that I'm listening to your story, I'm saying, wow.
Yeah, and you know why athletes get judged so harshly? Because people see them, like people see them. They're what people see. People live vicariously through them, because they're doing the things that people wish they could do. And because they can't do it, when the athletes mess up, the person, they feel like they're the ones who messed up, but because they don't have to take the blame, they passed off somebody else. I tell you all the time, if you're going through something in your life, think that someone else is going through it as well. I won't say it's harder,
Exactly.
but think that they're going through it as well. People
Exactly.
people aren't aware sometimes, because they're looking on. But how I approach things in my life, if I'm going through hell, that means somebody else is going. The next person I look at is going through their own version of their hell that I've gone through. So I'm not going to say, why am I do this? Why am I do that? And some of these athletes, they're out of their comfort zone, because some of them, they're not as personable as you are or as I am. So their personalities don't necessarily meet the
And
standard.
we judge them
Yeah,
harshly
yeah, yeah.
because their personality is not out there. They're not extrovert like some of
Extroverted.
us.
Yeah,
So we trash them. We say they're antisocial, they're not friendly, and we use all the negative adjectives and stuff, and it's just the personality that they are.
yeah. Because HP, we use one standard to grade everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not eccentric and overly e- expressive,
Mm-hmm.
you are,
You're not nice.
yeah, you are mean. And
Yeah.
if you take time out, if people take time out, and that's not just athletes, just people in general.
People.
Like I'm an introverted person. People don't know that about me. So if you come around me and I don't necessarily know you, I won't speak. Or if I'm with a friend and then another friend joins, or someone else joins that I don't know, I'll shut down because I'm I much people don't believe me. I'm afraid of talking to people. Though I express myself well, I'm afraid of talking to people. So there are other people who, just like me, they sometimes they don't want to talk. Sometimes they just feel better in their own space. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be with the people that they love and people they care about. But because they've taken on sports, taken on an event, or taken on an aspect of their life that propels them into the public light, the expectation is that, oh, they must always be like this, they must always be jovial. It is
Yeah.
not easy.
That's very unfair. I've heard that a lot. Oh, they're in the public eye, so they're supposed to, and they're supposed
Mm-mm,
to. And I'm like,
mm-mm,
no,
mm-mm.
no.
Imagine how people would feel if their day-to-day job was put in the public light and if they made a mistake. Because there's so many people that I've worked with, and I see them make mistakes on a daily basis in their jobs that they're supposed to be professionals at. What if their professional life was put on display like an athlete,
And
like
people are constantly judging you.
how, and it will break you down. And that's why I feel so badly for some of our athletes that
Me too.
they try, they
Yeah.
try, but then people are saying, oh, they must retire, they must retire,
Yeah.
and then what is next for them? We don't, I don't think, and I'll say this, I don't think the sporting bodies have done enough to assist our athletes with transitioning from the sport. Like
Oh,
like it's one of the things that I dislike so much. They've gained so much from their popularity, but they've not done enough to help them or assist them in finding viable means of living after the sport is done.
Mr. Extol, you just went right into another segment. Now that I've spoken to you as Dwayne Extol as an athlete, now I want us to talk about Dwayne as a commentator, journalist, an influential sport person. I consider myself, I'm very passionate about track and field. And as you just said, and I totally agree with you. I don't think that our federations are doing enough to educate and develop our young people. I feel like we should be exploring conversations to educate student athletes about so many things, even a simple contract, how to manage their mental health, about retirement, about endorsement, scholarship with school. I mean, how do you feel about this conversation, Dwayne?
I think I hear the statement, and this statement rings in my mind. It says, "Be phenomenal or be forgotten." But what about those who aren't phenomenal? They they get brushed aside, and I don't think enough education is or emphasis is put on educating our junior athletes and sometimes our senior athletes, because I see so often people get caught up in what the glitz and the glamour of the sport is like, but they don't look at what is the actuality. Like, what do I do when this is done? What can I do when this is over? A lot of them, because of their personalities, they seclude themselves, they shut themselves off from the world. So they come and they compete, and then that's it. There's no charity. They don't engage with other people outside of their circle, and that's what hurts them a lot of times. They don't get familiar with people in different walks of life, because as much as people might say, oh, connections around the world, it is true. It is who you're connected to or who's connected to you that can help you to get to the next level. Because if you're around the same people all the time, how will you grow? And I think that is a conversation that needs to be had. And I try to have it with my boys at Woodman's, and even the youngsters outside of Woodman's that I try to mentor. I try to give them insight about reaching out to people who have done what you want to do. But again, there's this stigma against asking for help. There's this thing that, well, I'm not asking for help because nobody take it and use against me.
Mm-hmm.
And and it,
As a youngster, when you were a student athlete, how were you educated about the sport as it relates to looking at a contract, whether it was endorsement or taking up a scholarship? Who helped you with that information in choosing the right place to go or the right brand to associate yourself as a
yeah.
brand to?
Well, it was easier for us at Wolmer's because there's a system. A system is in place where our coaches and our team managers they handle all those things. And when we got old enough, so like lower fifth form, lower six, they kind of bring us on and say, guys, this is what you look for when you go to school. They didn't really talk to us much about contracts because our times weren't as phenomenal as the kids now. So we weren't talk much about contract. But when we did speak about them, they say, well, try and get your education first. Even if you go to college for 2 years and you want to turn pro after, they kind of, I mean, I guess it's just our own education as well because we read a lot. We had to be very versed in understanding the things that we dealt with because we were given responsibilities very early at Woolman. So even at the student body level, you were making decisions or helping to make decisions that would affect the school, not just while you're there, but when you're gone. So we had a sense of responsibility that kind of transitioned into sport and then transitioned into life. That or again, our administration at the time, Dave, Marion, everybody, they made sure that we were well learned individuals, that we could stand on our own 2 feet when we stepped out of the walls of Woolman's. And I think that's what's missing. People put so much emphasis on athletes just competing and the youngsters signing shoe contracts and then give them some money. And it is heartbreaking for me to see and hear the stories about the
Yeah.
exploitation. And it must be up, man. Some stories I'm hear, and sometimes when young athletes who would have signed contracts early, things don't work out for them, and then at the end of the day, them come to us and come to me and say, "Oh, sir, boy, I don't know what to do," and now we have to try work and find ways to ensure that they get into the system and they don't get left behind because it is hard. It's really
Dwayne, we need, I think it is our, and I'm saying our, I'm involving myself. We need to find a way to start having the conversations, I think, in schools because sport is a business. Sport is not just played by amateurs anymore. It is a big money business. Sport is now a career. It's not just something you do when you finish studying.
yeah.
People are making career out of it. So I think we need to do something with start educating our student athletes, especially once they make a sport team. I think we need to find ways to bring people in to have talks with them, talk to them about retirement. You start making money, what you're supposed to do. You start making money. The first thing is not to buy a car. Those little things they don't know. And we
Well,
can't blame them when they do that.
yeah, the first thing isn't to buy a $10 million car.
Yeah, I
Buy
mean,
a bicycle.
they don't know. They don't know. We have to help them because sport, listen, you can have a long career and you can have a very short career. And I know that you know that.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to buy a $10 million car. You can buy a Honda Fit for the first year.
Yes,
You will get you from point A to point B.
right.
And the
Invest
way-
your money in real estate or something else that
Yeah, yeah, but you see the HP, the conversation now is about access, about how much access you are given or you'll be allowed to some of these student athletes from the coaches side because now a lot of coaches have gotten very I can't find the word, but they
it's for most of the coaches, it is about running fast time. Make sure you can win at champs. Make sure you can win the 9 points.
yeah.
But I was on a forum last night and we were having this same discussion. We need to help these young people in order for them to make informed decisions that will help them at the end of the day so they will not become a burden to the system. We
Yeah,
don't
but
expect the government to bail them out and all of that. And we need, because no money is being made. Granted, more money should be in track and field when you compare it to other sports, but they are earning a little money now, and we need to tell them that, look, when you start earning the money, buying a car should not be your first, should not be number one on your list.
yeah, it's hard to tell them that, but I get it because people replicate what they see. So
True,
when they see the end product of a Usain Bolt or a Salvatore with 5 6 cars, that is what they believe success is, and success isn't the same for everybody else, and it isn't the
but
same
if
for everybody.
but if they watch Usain Bolt's story, Usain Bolt said, I trained 4 years to run 9.58.
Yeah, but then all the time for that. A TikTok and thing that you're in and now, everything is micro.
So we now will have to bring the education to them in the school. So even during training, and I've said this before, even during training, at least once for the week, when everybody finished training and you gather them up, you said, come, we are going to have a workshop. We're going to have somebody coming in from an investment company to talk. We're going to have somebody coming in from public speaking. We have to try and help them, Dwayne.
Yeah,
We have to do it. The people who have a voice and can, we have to help them, because every generation, the generation before is supposed to be educating the generation that comes after, because that's how we learn.
yeah, absolutely. But again, it boils down to how much access will you be granted to these student athletes? How much are coaches and administration and schools willing to invest in ensuring that these athletes, when they leave their comfort, or leave the comfort of high school, don't become a burden to society when they leave. Again, I give thanks for Wolmer's and Mr. Riley, because he was adamant that you boys are going to school. You man a business about who want to turn pro or whatever. You turn pro when you done university. If you can done pro, just turn pro. But do the school thing. Do as best as you can, get the degree, go and do the work. But how much do we get access? Sometimes I don't get to mentor kids unless their parents reach out to me. Like I don't reach out to anybody because I don't want it being said that I am trying to influence their decisions. So
Isn't it something that can be done through the alumni? You have people who are doctors, especially from your school. You
no,
guys have
my school is
doctors
different.
and
No,
lawyers and all these different people coming in to share their story and give
yeah,
advice.
yeah, man. Well, my school is different. Woolmer's is a little different in that regard because I don't know how many Woolmer's boys sign pro contracts out of high school.
Not a
No,
lot. No,
I,
I've
I
never
don't.
heard of any.
I
No.
can't think of any because we have our, as again, systems exist at Wolmer's that we speak to professionals who come in even at the third form level for career day, and you hear these things and we're exposed to these different things, and we don't just get up and make rash decisions. We consult with people who have the expertise in the different areas. But it's other schools now that I think about that I can't readily get access to.
Right, yeah. And this is why I keep saying the alumni, because if I went to X school and I realize they have a sport department and I am whatever, I mean, find a way to get into that system as somebody who have gone through those classroom
Mm,
and say, look, my life wasn't easy and this was how I get there, but you don't have to go through all these things that I've gone through if you take another, tell them something where they will listen, because every school in Jamaica have at least one person that is a CEO, an accountant, or something, but
mm,
I think it breaks my heart. And nothing is wrong with going pro
mm,
after high school.
nothing,
Nothing is wrong.
nothing.
But they need to at least understand what they are doing.
Mm.
Understanding is key.
Oh yeah, for
On
sure. And having the right team of
team.
people around you
Yeah.
makes a massive difference. But sometimes you preach the choir. This
Yeah.
require when you go out and you say, let's advocate for representation. Sometimes, and you talk about an era now where everything is on social media and they see these things and they want it now. Like before, it was the microwave era, which was I think my generation. No, it is not even microwave. They want it instantly, like a hot chocolate mix with hot water from and mix it and it's ready right away. That's what they want, and the attention is not there. The attention span is not there. They want to be in the latest wig, the nice nails, the newest car, and
Volley up.
yeah, dolly up. I mean, because that's what they see. That's the representation, and as long as representation is like that, it is difficult. It is a mountain that you climb on a wet winter night.
Wow.
With no moonshine, just be walking in the dark against all odds.
There is a disconnect between Jamaica track and field and the fans. Talk to me about that, Dwayne. How can we grow? How can we correct this problem and get people to start coming back out to track and field events? What is it that the organizers and promoters are not doing? Why people are not interested to come to the stadium to see all our top athletes under the same umbrella? Why is it not happening? Why are fans not rushing the stadium?
I mean, I think when we saw fans rushing the stadium was between 2008 and 16, and I mentioned it at the top of the program. Factor, the bold factor. And the administration, they haven't taken time out to think about innovative ways of getting people into the stadium. I think one of the biggest things I was disappointed with was Carifta when he was here. Jamaica has such a rich culture of music, entertainment, and food. These things are on a holiday period should just be merged, and it should encourage people to come out because Carifta, I was so surprised that the stadium didn't have more people. And it's because they were charging people to go to the bleachers. There comes a point where the government has to be involved. The government has to get involved with helping the sporting bodies financially where possible. Because Carifta on the last day, the bleachers should be free. Like make people come and just come and enjoy the thing because I think if I remember correctly, World Juniors bleachers and you pay a little bit of money to come at bleachers and see them full of people.
Stadium was full. Yeah, I was
Full.
there.
Yeah
Yeah. Hmm.
man. I'd say almost full. So there needs to be a way to merge music, food with sports and entertainment because it is a package. It can't just be all right, track and field, this type of thing. We gotta give you that. All right, more go more hear some music, more you know, have a little vibe with my family, and they have to cut out people coming to the stadium and smoking and everything. It has to be a family environment where you come and you feel good about leaving afterwards with the family. You have a great evening. You come and you see family and friends, and we need a bigger stadium. we need we need better facilities at the stadium. We
You know
need
some you know something, Dwayne, you're either in my head or somebody told you about this discussion that I've had with them, because exactly what you just said is a discussion that I have been having, finding creative ways to bring fans out, merging sport with music. I've been singing that for a long time. Merge the two and you're bringing out different audience. You're bringing out people who love music. You're bringing out people who love sports. The
sports.
men going, the girlfriends and the wives want to come, the children.
Yeah,
Find creative ways to bring them out. And we're not doing that.
yeah,
And it
because
worked.
yeah, and I think I've had so many discussions with different stakeholders about ideas to reimagine like sports or track and field in Jamaica about trying different competitions. So like there's one thought process I had about using that stretch of road in New Kingston to be like an outdoor track and run some races that they do. I did a street meet. And people come and it's outdoors, you get like a festival vibes. You look at Sigma and their surgical run. How old
Mhm.
people show up for run, Like how
Mhm.
old people show up for run. These
But
people
it's a
don't
vibe. It's a whole vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe.
it's the vibe. People,
Yeah.
and as much as I don't like it, but people come to something because of the vibes. Like it is
Hmm.
how it make
Yeah.
me feel. I don't care
Yeah.
who is competing. Like if I feel good,
Yeah.
I'm coming. Like, me I
Yeah.
come and me I snap my pictures and me I go put it on Instagram and the
Mm-hmm.
content. So, and this is another thing that is very important, how the content is packaged, for the viewers, for the sponsors,
Mm-hmm.
for the potential investors. It is how it is packaged for people to enjoy. So you can't trap meet and the hour and a half or something. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nothing is happening nowhere. No, nothing is happening.
no, it don't make no sense. I was at the national trials the other day, and that's one of the things that it bothers me. Why do I, after a particular event, I have to wait an hour and a half for another event start?
For another
There-
event.
There's
Yeah.
no music. There's no live entertainment.
Nothing. There's nothing. Thank God when I watch you guys, I mean, I'm always here. Now that I'm not in Jamaica, I'm always behind the scene just laughing away because when they put people like you, Neville Bell, and Jermaine, and Hubert, and Bruce,
And
all you
Bruce,
guys together, you guys entertain us even when nothing is not happening on the track. And
yeah,
of course, Neville's ask a lot of good questions that educate
yeah.
track and field fans. Can Neville will ask, so coach, so why them can't measure from where you actually
Go.
land in the pits?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
so little things like those track and field fans like myself will learn because I want to learn about the sport, all the little technicalities and stuff. But I don't know, we need to do something, and I'm pulling you out again, Dwayne. we
no, I
we
mean, for me, there's a lot that we've been trying to do. A lot that we've been trying to do. We've been working on proposals that we've sent and symposiums that we've been a part of with government officials, with stakeholders, with sponsors. We've been a part of so many meetings. And again, these things will probably take a turn for the better when I'm like in my 50s. Because,
wow.
yeah, I mean, these things I don't expect them to change overnight. And when you have certain people who don't think about sports as a $1 billion industry and they still look at it as recreation and
Mm-hmm.
amateur, then we will still be stuck in the mindset that an athlete isn't supposed to earn $1 million US. You know, they shouldn't have endorsement deals because it's just a hobby. Why should their hobby be paying the same thing that I'm earning as a professional, as a corporate professional? That mindset has to change. And
Mm-hmm.
until that mindset changes, until there's a shift in that approach, then we're going to still be at square one. But we have people who are trying. We have people who are working on ensuring that the future for the sport is maintained and even enhanced in terms of the ability for youngsters and even those who have are getting to the end of their career still see it as a viable means of wanting to be a part of it. Because other athletes, when they're
Mm-hmm.
done, they step away and they never come back.
Yeah.
They disappear into the shadows and you never hear of them again because they don't feel one appreciated and they don't feel relevant in the
Oh
sport.
yes, I've heard a lot from I started doing this. I've heard a lot of that story. I've heard
No
a
one, yeah,
lot. Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard it a lot, and we have to we have to do better though, because when you look at our track and field legacy, and we're almost 100 years in track and field at the global level. At the senior level, we started 1930. We went to our first official track and field championship, which was the CAC Games. Of course, the Olympics in 1948. We just went there and we just blew the place away, winning a quinella in the 400.
Yeah,
How dare we do something like that? So we have been building, and then the 21st century just take off like a beige kite.
yeah, it exploded.
It
You know,
just went into a totally different thing.
stratosphere. Yeah,
Yes. So why are we not capitalizing on that as a brand? Track and Field Jamaica is a brand. Why are we not benefiting from that as a country? When I look at our infrastructure, when I look at different things, the development for our young athletes, why are we not evolving with the sport?
because the question will be asked, what is in it for me?
Wow.
Those who have the influence, those who have the ability to make a difference, they will ask that question. And I've heard that question asked, what do I gain from it? And because of that mindset, it will forever remain uh, a situation where if it's not benefiting people who make the decisions, it's not gonna get done.
I thought this was about Jamaica. One, Jamaica. I mean, as a track and field fan, I am demanding more. I want to see more happening because we are one of the powerhouses in track and field. Jamaica. If Jamaica don't turn up at a global championship, I can tell you that is a different kind of championship you will be seeing. I went to Eugene last year, and when I was going in the stadium, the Sunday night for the women's 100-meter final, some people came up to me because I had my flag, and they came up to me and they said, we're here to see the Jamaica 1, 2, 3 clean sweep. The race didn't run yet. And people were coming there from other countries because they wanted to see the Jamaica clean sweep in the women's 100-meter before the race ran.
Yeah, yeah. But
We are a big deal, but I don't know the powers that be. We're not recognizing. We're not.
yeah, we're not recognizing, and the investment isn't as it should be because, as I said, infrastructure needs to be looked
Yep.
at.
Mm-hmm.
We have to preserve the legacy that we've built in track and field by getting a museum so people can come and visit. But we also have to invest in the future of the sport because
Mm-hmm.
the sports science has evolved. The track and the stadiums have, changed significantly around the world. We still operate from the basis of um, primitive knowledge when it comes on to what can. Because I was on a discussion with Hubert today because we're getting ready for the World Championship coverage,
Mm-hmm.
and he's talking about things, and Hubert is a wealth of knowledge.
I know. He's one of the people that I learned from. Yeah. Listening to him. Yeah.
And when he speaks about the accomplishments of Jamaica, we've done the accomplishments with the things that we have now, like the things that we have in place now. That's what we've accomplished, used and accomplished all these years. How much better will we be? Could we be? Can we be if we we be in the government and those interested in the growth of Brand Jamaica invest in the things that will make us better? How much further along the path will we be? But people just want to put things on autopilot and just allow it to run down the road,
No.
like reggae music, like West Indies cricket.
No, yeah, no, we can't be like that. This thing is moving away from us. We're being left behind. We're being left behind. And when I look at other events, I'm saying, how is it that we're not getting an opportunity to host certain events? The World Relay,
Oh,
you
I've
know?
I've said that so many times.
I mean, but we we have to evolve because the sport is evolving, and a lot of people don't understand, but a sport facility is a big deal. The aesthetic of a stadium, of a facility, is a big deal in the sport industry.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like
And we
I,
just
I
don't get it.
looked at Eugene and how much they did to re re
Hmm.
furnish their stadium. Even though I don't like Eugene as a venue for track and field because it's too far.
Yeah.
But aesthetics, like you know,
Hmm.
we need to have like I think about the major sports like NBA,
Oh wow.
NFL, all those sports. I mean, even though it's American, they have a weekend where their sports stars are on show doing things other than the sport that they're involved in. So
Hmm.
Super Bowl weekend, NBA weekend, all those things. We have to find a way to get our world stars. You know, just it would be just I don't.
Yeah, we need to get our creative juices start flowing because there's so much. I mean, I follow a lot of track and field athletes online, and I see Duplantis. He's trying to arrange a 100-meter
It's really
with different people. He actually, and I think recently I saw a post where he was trying to get a jumper involved, and I'm like, this would be a good idea. Have a meet where you have some of these athletes who do kind of highlight that event would be like a highlight
yeah.
for the meet. So you have some of the jumpers and throwers running either a 100-meter or a 4x1. There's so many different things that we can do, but Dwayne, I don't know, but before we go, I want to test your memory a little bit. I want you to name me some people that you've competed against and which school they went to. Just a
Wow.
few, about 10 people.
All right, 10. I mean, I know
All right,
some.
you know something? I'm going to call the school name and you tell me an athlete from that school
All
that
right,
competed in your
I can
time.
work that. I can
All
work
right,
that.
I'm going to make it very easy for you. I'm going to start with Calabar,
Number one, Mackenzie.
JC,
Andre Collins.
KC,
Rolando Birch.
Camperdown,
Jeffrey Josephs.
St. Jago,
Nicky Lashmead.
wow, Stets,
Nicholas Maitland.
Monroe,
Jody Ray Blackwood.
wow, Georges.
Corey Spalding.
Oh my God, that's it. Which other two school? Which other two school I can come up with?
Herbert
Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Which
Ah,
one you just mentioned? Who you
no,
just
sorry,
mentioned?
Herbert Morrison. Dexter
Okay,
Lee.
Herbert Morrison 9.
Dexter Lee.
Yeah.
Excelsior. Oh,
And
yeah.
10 now. Which school would be school number 10?
You said Excelsior. I can't even think of anybody from Excelsior.
Yeah, Excelsior would
Excelsior
be a
at the
little tough. But
time.
you did well. You did well. 9 out of 10. That's brilliant.
Wow.
Wow. 9 out of 10. That's brilliant. Look, man, that's 90%.
Kevin
Listen.
White come home with technical. I,
Oh, see? 10 out
I,
of 10.
yeah.
10 out of 10. Homo technical. Wow. Brilliant. Dwayne, thank you very much. It was indeed a pleasure talking to you and your story will inspire. I hope it will inspire a lot of our junior athletes who are coming up, even current athletes,
Mhm.
who might be going through something, having tough times, dark days, and not sure how to, not sure how to overcome, and so I just want to thank you very much for being here. And of course, I am looking forward to listening to you guys for the World Championship. Hopefully I can get to listen to and watch TVJ because when I can't, I'm crazy because I'm going to be honest with you. TVJ is really the only media house that gives you analysis, deep analysis. Other stations, when you watch, once there's nothing going on, they're gone. So there are no pre-game or
Mm.
post-game
Post game.
show talking about stuff, and that's what people like me want to hear. I
Yeah.
want to hear what's happening, who won the most world championship, who of the this, which country won 1991 4x1. That kind of thing I can get when I listen to you guys. So thank you very much for your service, sir, and I look forward to the world championships connecting with you guys. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I appreciate you having me, and I hope we'll connect again soon.
Thank you very much. I can't wait. I am looking forward to that, and thank you very much.
All right. Bye bye.
And here we have it, guys. Dwayne EXTOL, standout from Wolmer's boys, and of course, the winner of one of the biggest boys champs ever, Champs 100, Champs 2010. Dwayne EXTOL, thank you. There you go. Thank you very much, Dwayne. Thank you. Big up yourself. Big up your school.
All
And
right.
I look forward to connect. Okay.
Yeah, man. Bye bye.
Bye bye. All right, guys, there we have it. Dwayne, the outstanding, the bright, handsome, intelligent Mr. Dwayne Extol. Thank you guys for that. And I just want to say hello to everyone on the live. I did not get to big you up during the show because Dwayne's story was a lot. He was sharing a lot. So, guys, thank you for being here. Sandy British, big up yourself. Sandra Henry, big up yourself. Marlene Green, everyone who hung out with us tonight. Thank you very much. And of course, Thursday night, I will be back here with Dwight Thomas. Calabar will be in the house come Thursday night. Tonight we had Wolmer's. And of course, Thursday night, we will have Dwight Thomas, Calabar's Standout, and of course, an Olympian and world champion himself. So, my quick announcements are I just want to big up my sponsor, Akshev. Thank you very much for being on board. Um, On Thursday, after Thursday with Dwight Thomas, we are going to break for the World Championship, which starts next weekend, the 19th. Is that next weekend? Yes, the 19th. But between next week, Tuesday to Thursday, we will be having World Championship quiz right here. Yes, right here on HB Chat Track. And of course, we're going to be testing the knowledge of track and field fans, track and field athletes. Yes, we will be having a lot of fans here in the quiz for 2 nights, the 15th and the 17th. And then, of course, on the 16th, we are going to be having the athletes will get a go at it. And of course, it is always a joy to have the athletes on my program. So we're going to be seeing athletes like Aileen Bailey. We're going to be seeing Darty Scott Genius. We're going to be seeing Ruth Williams and more. So stay tuned for the athletes sessions. Of course, the 15th, as I said before, fans group one. And of course, we're the 16th, the athletes. We're going to have athletes from the 70s who competed in the 70s, the 80s, and of course in the new era, the 21st century. So the quiz is strictly about the world championship, because we're in a world championship that is coming up. So everything about the quiz will be related to the World Championship and Jamaica's involvement from 1980 to date. So make sure that you do your research from 1983, the Jamaicans who have represented the country back then, and make sure you know which parish they're from, make sure you know which high school they went to, because we're going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm just giving you guys some clues. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Wow, we had a long chat tonight. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Jeannie Green, big up yourself. Thanks for being here. Wherever you are in the world, good night, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for hanging out with HP Chat Track once more. I'm out. Peace.